You've seen her. That woman who walks into a room and somehow, without saying a word, everyone takes notice. Not because she's screaming for attention, not because she's the loudest or the most dramatic, but because there's something different about her. Something that makes people straighten up a little, speak more carefully, think twice before they cross her. You've probably wondered what she has that others don't. What's her secret? What does she know that the rest don't? Well, I'm about to tell you exactly what it is, and it's going to shatter everything you think you know about respect, power, and feminine energy. Most women today have been sold a lie. They've been told that respect comes from being louder, from being more aggressive, from outmanning men at their own game. They think respect means never backing down, never showing vulnerability, never letting anyone see them as anything less than invincible. So they put on this armor. They become hard. They become defensive. They start every conversation ready for a fight. They confuse being difficult with being respected. They mistake being feared for being valued. And you know what happens? They get the exact opposite of what they're looking for. Instead of respect, they get avoidance. Instead of admiration, they get eye rolls behind their backs. Instead of genuine influence, they get compliance born from exhaustion. But the women who truly command respect, they understand something completely different. They understand that respect isn't taking class, it's earned. It's not demanded, it's inspired. And it doesn't come from what you say or how loudly you say it. It comes from something much deeper, much more powerful. It comes from self-respect. Let me say that again because this is the foundation of everything we're going to talk about. The women who command respect from others are the women who genuinely, authentically respect themselves. Not fake self-love, not Instagram confidence, not the kind of self-respect that needs constant validation from others. Real self-respect. The kind that runs so deep, it changes how they move through the world. These women understand something that most people don't. Boundaries aren't walls you build to keep people out. Boundaries are standards you maintain to let the right people in. When a woman truly respects herself, she doesn't need to announce her boundaries to the world. She doesn't need to post about them on social media or give speeches about how she won't be disrespected. Her boundaries are evident in everything she does. She doesn't argue with people who don't value her time. She simply doesn't give them access to it. She doesn't fight with people who speak to her disrespectfully. She removes herself from their presence. She doesn't try to convince people of her worth. She demonstrates it through her actions. You see, most people confuse having boundaries with being difficult. They think boundaries mean being confrontational, argumentative, and always ready to defend themselves. But the women who truly command respect, their boundaries are like velvet ropes at an exclusive club. They're gentle, but they're absolute. Here's something that will blow your mind. The women who command the most respect are often the most selective about who they spend their time with, who they open up to, who they allow into their inner circle. While other women are trying to be liked by everyone, respected women understand that being respected by everyone is impossible, and it's not even desirable. They're not trying to win a popularity contest. They're building a life of quality relationships, quality experiences, quality everything. They understand that when you're available to everyone, you're special to no one. When you say yes to everything, your yes means nothing. When you'll accept any treatment, you'll receive the worst treatment. But when you're selective, when you have standards, when people have to earn your time and attention and energy, suddenly that time and attention and energy becomes valuable. Suddenly, people treat it with respect. This is where most women get it completely wrong. They think that to be respected, they need to be invulnerable. They think they need to be the woman who never cries, never needs help, never shows weakness. But the women who truly command respect understand the paradox of vulnerability. Being vulnerable from a position of strength is one of the most powerful things you can do. What does this mean? It means they're not afraid to admit when they don't know something. They're not afraid to ask for help when they need it. They're not afraid to show emotion when it's authentic. But, and this is crucial, they do all of this from a foundation of self-respect. They're not vulnerable because they're weak. They're vulnerable because they're strong enough to be real. There's a massive difference between trauma dumping on everyone you meet and being authentically open with the right people at the right time. There's a huge difference between neediness and genuine emotional expression. Have you ever noticed that some women just have this energy about them? You can feel it the moment they walk into a room. It's not arrogance. Arrogance is loud and insecure. It's not superiority. That's just masked insecurity. It's something else entirely. It's the energy of a woman who knows her value and doesn't need anyone else to confirm it. It's the energy of someone who is complete within herself. Not because she doesn't want or enjoy relationships, but because she doesn't need them to feel whole. This energy is magnetic. It draws people in not because she's trying to attract them, but because authentic confidence is rare and beautiful. When someone is genuinely secure in who they are, others want to be around that energy. They want to learn from it. They want to protect it. But here's what's fascinating. This energy can't be faked. You can't manufacture it. You can't put it on like makeup or wear it like designer clothes. It comes from within, from doing the deep work of actually building a relationship with yourself that's based on respect and genuine self-knowledge. One of the most telling signs of a woman who commands respect is how she handles conflict. She doesn't avoid it out of fear, but she doesn't seek it out either. She doesn't let people walk all over her, but she doesn't turn every disagreement into World War III. When someone disrespects her, she doesn't immediately go into defense mode or attack mode. She pauses, she considers, she responds rather than reacts. Sometimes her response is a calm conversation. Sometimes it's simply walking away. Sometimes it's removing that person's access to her time, energy, or presence. But whatever her response is, it's intentional, it's measured. It's designed not to punish the other person, but to protect her own peace and maintain her standards. She understands that how you respond to disrespect teaches people how to treat you, not just that person, but everyone who witnesses how you handle yourself. Every interaction is setting a precedent for future interactions. Here's something beautiful about women who truly command respect. They treat everyone with basic human dignity. Not because they're pushovers, not because they're people pleasers, but because treating others well is a reflection of their own character, not a reflection of what others deserve. They're kind to the waitress and the CEO. They speak respectfully to the janitor and the judge, not because they want something from these people, but because that's who they are. But, and this is important, treating everyone with dignity doesn't mean treating everyone the same. They have different levels of access, different levels of intimacy, different levels of energy investment, based on the relationship and what each person has earned. Respect is given freely. Trust is earned. Access is earned. Intimacy is earned. Women who command respect have a healthy relationship with money and resources. They don't worship money, but they don't pretend it doesn't matter either. They understand that financial independence isn't about having the most money, it's about having enough to make choices from a position of strength rather than desperation. They don't use money to buy love or respect. They don't throw money around to impress people, but they also don't accept financial disrespect or manipulation. They understand their worth, and they price themselves accordingly. Whether it's in their career, their business, or their personal relationships, they don't undervalue themselves. They don't work for less than their worth out of fear or desperation. They don't accept less than they deserve because they're afraid of being alone or unemployed. The women who command respect don't have arbitrary rules or impossible standards. They don't expect perfection from others because they don't expect perfection from themselves. But they do have non-negotiables. These standards aren't punishments for others, they're protection for themselves. They know what they will and won't accept in terms of how they're treated, how they're spoken to, how their time is valued, how their contributions are acknowledged. And here's the key. These standards apply to everyone. Family, friends, romantic partners, colleagues, everyone. They don't have one set of standards for people they want to impress and another set for people they think they need to tolerate. Consistency in standards is what creates respect. When people know that your boundaries and expectations are the same, regardless of who they are or what they might offer you, they respect those boundaries. Success doesn't go to their head, and failure doesn't break their spirit. Why? Because their sense of self-worth isn't tied to external outcomes. Their identity isn't wrapped up in their achievements or their mistakes. When they succeed, they're gracious. They don't need to make everyone around them feel smaller to make themselves feel bigger. They lift others up because they're not threatened by other people's success. When they fail or make mistakes, they own it. They apologize when appropriate. They learn from it. They make amends if necessary, and they move forward. They don't make excuses. They don't blame everyone else, but they also don't destroy themselves with self-criticism. This emotional stability, this consistent sense of self, regardless of external circumstances, is incredibly attractive and worthy of respect. Show me a woman's inner circle, and I'll tell you everything you need to know about how much she respects herself. Women who command respect surround themselves with other high-quality people. They don't keep toxic friends around for entertainment. They don't maintain relationships with people who drain their energy or bring drama into their lives. They don't stay connected to people who consistently disrespect them just because they have a history together. But they're also not constantly cutting people off or creating drama. They simply invest their time and energy in relationships that are mutual, healthy, and growth-oriented. And here's something interesting. Because they maintain these standards in their friendships, the people around them rise to meet those standards. High-quality people attract high-quality people. When they make mistakes, and they do, because they're human, they handle it with grace. They admit the mistake, they apologize if necessary, they learn from it, and they move on. They don't make excuses or blame others. When they receive criticism, they evaluate it fairly. If it's constructive and valid, they consider it and potentially implement changes. If it's unfair or malicious, they dismiss it without letting it affect their self-worth. They don't defend themselves against every criticism, but they also don't accept every criticism as truth. They have the wisdom to know the difference. These women make decisions from a place of clarity rather than emotion. They don't make major life decisions when they're angry, hurt, or desperate. They take time to think things through. They consider their options. They weigh the pros and cons. They consider not just what feels good in the moment, but what aligns with their long-term goals and values. But once they make a decision, they commit to it. They don't constantly second-guess themselves. They don't look for others to validate their choices. They take responsibility for their decisions and their consequences. When good things happen to them, they don't downplay their achievements or attribute everything to luck. They acknowledge their hard work and skills. They celebrate their wins appropriately. But they also don't become arrogant or forget the people who helped them along the way. They use their success as a platform to lift others up when possible. They understand that success brings responsibility, and they handle that responsibility with grace. So here's your choice. You can continue seeking respect from a place of desperation, trying to force it through aggression or manipulation or people-pleasing. You can keep accepting less than you deserve because you're afraid of being alone or judged. Or you can do the work. You can build genuine self-respect from the ground up. You can create boundaries that protect your peace. You can choose quality over quantity in every area of your life. You can become the woman who walks into a room and effortlessly commands respect, not because she demands it, but because she embodies it. The secret isn't a secret at all. It's a choice. A daily choice to respect yourself so deeply that others have no choice but to follow your lead. The question is, what will you choose?